Night of the living dead, the dead who live on living flesh. The dead whose haunted souls hunt the living whose bodies are the only food for these ungodly creatures. Night of the living dead.
So in 1968, out comes Night of the Living Dead. And this was a really rough, low-budget, ragged feature made over a series of weekends.
Essentially
over
supposed to be like one of three movies that they're sort of drive-in, midnight drive-in.
Yeah, but it's definitely sort of the kind of rags to riches story. Well, I would like to call it a rags to riches story, except for they didn't make any money off of this film. But
part of its tragic history.
As far as a group of people making a movie with friends on weekends for minimal budget, with minimal means, and coming out with a really solid product that, in spite of the fact that it was quite obviously made on a minimal budget by new talent, sort of took the world, at least culturally, by storm.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes, as we mentioned, when he sent out the prints to be distributed, to be put out in the drive-in theaters and distributed across the country, they wouldn't be released en masse. They kind of would tour the country.
Yeah.
They neglected to put a copyright label on it.
Yo.
So savvy.
They explain that here.
Yeah. So savvy filmmakers or cinema owners caught that and made copies of it and would air it regularly.
Yeah.
And make money off of it, which was great for them.
Yeah.
But not so good for Romero.
Yeah.
The good news is, at the end of the day, I mean, the exposure of Night of the Living Dead gave pretty much everybody involved in the movie a career.
Yeah.
But, they deserved to be rich off of it. They deserved more than just that.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. Romero himself said that he didn't really make a profit on Night of the Living Dead until they made the remake in 1990.
Yeah.
And I think the reason that he signs off on this, redubbed version that they did on one anniversary, which actually added scenes very awkwardly into the movie, was just him actually earnestly trying to make finally some money off of this movie after all of these decades. The notoriety is great, but he is still, after all of these years, a low-budget filmmaker. And I don't think he's like a millionaire, He should be, in my mind, he should be this great,
I'm sure he's not hurting for money, though.
Well, I don't know. I'm not his accountant, but I don't see him, living on some private estate somewhere. Maybe he does, and that's great for him. He deserves it, but that's not the picture of him I have in my head.
Yeah,
Anyway, we're kind of getting off course of Night of the Living Dead itself, but there's a lot interesting about the movie peripheral to the movie itself. But I think it's interesting to take in the context of 68, like the way this movie looks in black and white and shaky and grainy. Like, 2001 came out this year. It doesn't just look old and raggedy and hard to us. I think even at the time it had that quality to it. And I think that's sort of it feels like almost documentary verite style is part of the reason that it stuck with people. And added to which, we have the central player being played by a black man, and that
which was not deliberate casting to begin with.
He just came the best actor.
Yeah.
And that to me makes it even more impressive.
No, Night of the Living Dead is a very good example of that whole diamond in the rough. It's something at the right time, right place, right idea, and all the elements came together to make a classic movie.
And the strength of the conceit and the idea overcomes all of the flaws that it has, and the things that you have to overcome when you watch it now.
Yeah.
The movie does feel kind of dated and quaint in a lot of ways watching it in 2015, but it still has a lot of punch and a lot of teeth.
Oh, I know. Well, the idea is very, very sound, and it's a smart idea in a lot of ways.
The characters and the characterizations are not as relatable today as they were when this movie came out.
Yeah.
They do feel like stock characters, and it does have that rough sort of artificial quality to it.
Yeah.
but the sound core idea of this plague that's affecting the entire world, and we're just seeing these few people locked into this one farmhouse.
Yeah.
And the failure, the breakdown of this group of people, their absolute inability to work together.
Yep.
To find some keys and fill a car with gas.
Yeah.
5 people have to find keys, fill a car with gas, and drive away.
Yep.
And they can't
Even do it. I know. It's a great, great statement on how we'll eat each other first before, us working together to get out of a relatively simple task.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you have to walk around the zombies, but you could, in essence, walk around them.
Yeah.
You get a couple of torches, you make a path, take a couple of zombies down. It should work.
Yeah.
But alone they cannot, and that is a great, great idea. Here's a question though, and I don't want to change the subject completely.
All right.
But what are some of the rules you have for, say, a Romero zombie, and a different zombie?
Well, for me, the Romero zombies, like I say, they're slow.
Yep.
They bite.
Yes.
You have to hit them in the head,
yes.
the brain, in order to kill them.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's about it. We don't
really have... What do you think their main motivation is? Just to
eat you. It's not. They're not trying to eat your brains. They just crave flesh, living human flesh.
So here's the question I have for you.
Okay.
Because when Barbara and what is his name now?
Barbara and brother Tom are in the cemetery at the beginning, and
of course that zombie comes upon them, and him and Tom have a big fight.
Right.
Where Tom is essentially killed, banged his head against a whole tombstone, and the zombie gets up and chases after Barbara. To which I ask,
he was brained. How is that possible? Is that what you're getting at?
Well, why didn't the zombie just stop and keep on attacking,
eating him?
Yeah, and then instead of going, try and kill her, and he relentlessly pursues her.
Yeah. Well, again, I have to fill in the blanks, and I don't know if Romero has it. No. I've talked about it before in franchise things, and the first couple of installments, sometimes I look at it sort of like similar to a TV series.
Yeah.
In the first few episodes, some of the characters don't quite feel like they're in sync right, and there's a few casting changes, and we haven't quite nailed down who this character is yet, and all of the rules aren't succinct. For me, that zombie initially attacked Barbara. That's who he was after.
Yeah.
This dude got in the way. And he got rid of that guy, but for some reason was still focused on Barbara. He was just a nuisance. For some reason, that zombie had locked into Barbara. Is that typical zombie behavior? I don't know. More questionable would be, it looked pretty clear to me like he was supposedly brained, like he smashed his skull into that rock.
Yeah.
That being the case, he shouldn't come back as a zombie and get Barbara. But you know what? Like I said, the conceit of this movie is so strong that I'm going to look way past any of that sort of picky stuff. And the rules aren't really set in any kind of stone for me until we get to the next movie, where it's sort of implicitly told to us through the media. Another forward-thinking thing of this movie is how much of the media is used in it. We see a lot of police reports. We see a lot of our characters huddled around a radio listening, and a lot of them huddled around the TV watching, like you would in a disaster situation, right?
Yeah.
And it's still dramatically compelling and interesting, and it has the that famous quote, they're dead, they're all messed up, which reads both strange and somehow authentic to a live TV interview.
Yeah.
I don't know. All of these things feed into like making it feel real. Working against the fact, like I said, that this is a black and white old movie that we know, shouldn't get to us, but I think does, and I think still works today.
It's also a very good idea that he keeps it relatively all in one place.
Yeah. Budgetarily, that's wonderful. Speaking as a low-budget filmmaker, that's what you want. If you can do it all in a farmhouse...
Yeah.
Ugh.
Have you explained the plot to the viewers? Do they need another plot?
Well, that's another of the great interesting things about it. They don't explain why the dead have come to life.
And haven't really.
And Romero never really gives you a definitive answer. And I think that's strong. I think that's a good choice to go with. What answer would we accept? And B, I think it's more interesting to see the survival story than to get bogged down. Some other movie can be about stopping the, government conspiracy or the plague or whatever it is. That's not what Romero's interested in. he's interested in the mom and pops, the normal people in their homes, and how they would react to it. And they'd have no fucking idea what was going on. So neither do we. They have to piece it together, and we piece it together with them. Basically, yeah, it's if I didn't implicitly say it, the dead came back to life. Barbara, who was visiting the grave of her mother, she and her brother was attacked. Her brother was killed, and she runs to a nearby farmhouse. She thinks it to be abandoned, but Ben shows up. His car's out of gas. They find that there is indeed people hiding in the basement as well, and they try to survive the night, and like I say, find the keys, fill the car with gas.
Yeah.
If not for the rather elaborate excursion to fill the car with gas and the subsequent explosion that occurs, you could almost do this as a stage play.
Oh, yes. Oh.
And because there's no copyright on it, you could without paying Romero a nickel.
Yeah.
The strength of this ending. I mean, like I say,
it's one of the most pessimistic endings, I think, to any movie that I've ever seen. And it earns it, though. It is very right in having that kind of ending. I'm just sort of thinking both of this and the remake because the endings differ somewhat.
Yeah. Ben, of everybody in the group, in the original film, earnestly does the right thing. He gets goaded in by Cooper, our classic asshole archetype.
Yeah.
And they do squabble with each other, but he's earnestly trying to survive and do the right thing.
Yeah.
Throughout the movie, and he does manage to live through the night, and he earns it.
Yeah.
Only to first thing the next morning, upon peering out the window on hearing what he hopes is rescue, to have his brains blown out by some guy who's shooting first and asking questions later.
Yeah.
And as credits roll, we see people digging hooks into his corpse and dragging him to a pile of bodies to be set on fire.
Yep. Happy.
No way to sugarcoat that shit, man.
Yeah.
Like, that is fucking harsh. And it's not the only harsh thing in the movie. A mother is stabbed to death by the zombie of her child. Another interesting thing, the zombie uses a trowel to kill her mother. We don't typically see them using weapons. Usually they're bitey. But there is something undeniably sort of affecting about that.
Yeah, apparently people have these weird fantasies of, wanting to kill their own mother, and that struck a chord with a lot of people. That particular scene in general.
The new generation, old generation. I don't know. This movie still remains strong. There's a remake, and we're going to talk about it when we do the next episode. But I think that it's one of these movies that doesn't really require a remake. I'm happy that Romero made money off of it, but this movie is a capital C classic horror movie. If you like horror movies a little bit, you should watch it.
Yeah. One of the things that I think works so well for it, especially because they didn't have a lot of money, is they shot the film in a sort of film noir lighting. It feels in some ways very film noirish, with a bunch of desperate characters, in a sort of dark, almost criminal story. I mean, it's a horror movie, it's a monster movie, but just the lighting of it, that's one thing that's really, really good. And I was kind of surprised to know, I really enjoyed the sound, the music.
Yeah.
But you were right, a lot of it was just sort of stock footage.
Yeah, well, Romero, being a micro-budget filmmaker, was just getting his hands on anything he could.
Yeah.
If you can use some footage or some music for free, why not save the money?
Yeah.
And if it works, and I mean, it's dated like the rest of the movie, but I don't find it overly obtrusive.
Yeah.
The only time in the movie where I kind of find it a little bit in the way is when Barbara first arrives at the farmhouse, and she's walking through, and there's sudden close-ups of the trophy animals on the walls, and the music jumps, and that's supposed to be some sort of jump scare for us.
Yeah.
It's just maybe at the time that was considered a scare, but nowadays there's nothing scary about that. We're just glad that Barbara's found a safe place, even if it does have animal heads hanging on the wall.
Yeah. When Night of the Living Dead tries to be a jump scare movie, it doesn't work, but it's, like you said, the idea of it, that these things just never do stop, and then it can easily overcome you.
Yeah.
It's a very slow-paced, horrifying movie, where there's just this huge sense of dread that is undeniable about it, that it sort of produces.
And it still works today.